The art piece I chose to analyze for this project was created by the contentious, anonymous English graffiti artist Banksy. He rose up in popularity during the 1900s free party, DIY, do-it-yourself, and alternative music scene in Bristol, a vibrant, creative, multicultural city in the west of England. Dubbed as a guerrilla artist as well as a people's artist by many, Banksy's simple images are so accessible, iconic, democratic, and humorous that ultimately reaches people on a simple level. Most of his work incorporates one of his many themes. His most famous theme, and probably the one he used the most during his first years as a graffiti artist, was the rat. Rats, although ubiquitous in cities and almost universally despised, are representational of the urban underclass. The slogan is another one of Banksy's major themes, which serves as no other purpose but as a hook, a sort of soundbite, to catch the audience's attention. Probably his most famous soundbite is "This is not a photo opportunity," which he tagged all around England, as well as serving as the title for one of my sources. Banksy's art tends to usually depict modern life and globalization, with his usual subjects of crummy jobs, retail therapy, TV addiction, the New World Order, being slaves to oil barons and the motor car, the worship of supermarkets, sweatshop labor, and homelessness. Nihilism, a reflection to urban environment, is also a prevalent theme in Banksy's urban artistic expression. And similarly to the rat, he uses the ape to represent the impoverished and oppressed urban citizens, juxtaposed with one of his most famous statements: "Laugh now, but one day we will be in charge." However, Banksy is often at his most controversial when giving us sardonic takes on modern society, including sexuality, knife crime, and our obsession with phones. Consequently, one of the many reasons why he tends to remain anonymous, even after gaining so much fame and popularity. As he mentioned in an interview, "I have no interest in ever coming out. I figure there are enough self-opinionated trying to get their little ugly faces in front of you as it is. You ask a lot of kids today what they want to be when they grow up, and they say, 'I want to be famous.' You ask them for what reason, and they don't know or care. I'm just trying to take the picture, look good. I'm not trying to make myself look good. I'm not into fashion. The pictures generally look better than I do when we're out on the street together. Plus, I obviously have issues with the cops, and besides, it's a pretty safe bet that the reality of me could be a crushing disappointment to a couple of 15-year-old kids out there." All in all, as Banksy mentioned in another of his interviews, everything he does is about sending a message to the whole populace rather than a specific group of people. Before I can continue on to analyze the cave painting by Banksy, I figured it would be a good idea to give the class a brief but descriptive history of graffiti. After all, Banksy's art revolves around this specific art style, and that's what gives his art uniqueness. So, without further ado, let's begin. As you already know, graffiti is a style of street art. It's derived from the Latin word graphite, which means to write, but it directly derives to the Italian graffito. It's usually understood as a concrete manifestation of personal and communal ideologies, which are visually striking, insistent, and provocative. Graffiti emerged in the early 1920s during World War II, where soldiers drew humorous images to correspond with popular American terms. However, it started gaining popularity after the father of modern graffiti, Daryl McRae, began to affix his now infamous tagging name, Cornbread, around his college campus. Although graffiti is often deemed as an adverse art style, we can't help but accept the fact that it demonstrates the essence of art. It embodies the aesthetic, truth, and feeling of the artist, community, and society. Moreover, it transcends time and demonstrates the integral mind of many of the artist's work. Cave painting by Banksy is a very detailed art piece. Right off the bat, you can clearly tell the focal point of this artwork is the man dressed in all black with the orange vest, giving the illusion that he's standing in the street, power washing this cave painting of sorts, hence the title of the artwork. His attire makes me assume he's a city worker, similar to the ones we tend to see in Chicago with the green vests. The painting also appears to contain animals and humans. The humans, which are in red, appear to be hunting the animals, which are dark brown in color. The background consists of a dark shade of yellow for the most part, besides the bottom left hand corner where you can obviously see the power wash's aftermath. This being said, I can safely assume the mood of the artwork is glum, dark colors and shadows, the fact that you can't see the man's face, all cover the artwork and as a result appear to reflect a gloomy, mysterious feeling. Cave painting is a representational artwork containing entities from the world in recognizable form. The man with the orange vest holding the power washer is clearly illustrated in the art piece, as well as the background figures, the animals and the humans simulating an age-old cave painting. Actual irregular lines going in all directions are clearly visible in the artwork, and with the utilization of the principles of design, Banksy makes this enigmatic piece of art stand out, with an emphasis on the unauthorized man, whose movement seems to be going from left to right with the power washer, and how the color yellow, which is highlighted in the mist, tends to darken as our eyes move farther from the center, noticing more shadows, with a prominence on the obscurity on the man's body, and more noticeably his face. It ultimately gives a feeling of wholeness to the painting. Cave painting is an artwork that its name literally means that a cave painting in the process of being power washed by an unknown individual. Although there is very little known about the painting, it originally appeared at Leek Street in London, May 2008, in the infamous Banksy Tunnel. And just as there is little known information about Banksy's other art pieces, I came to the conclusion that this particular painting is intended for the whole populace, not just a single group or groups. But I also believe it's specifically targeted towards political authoritative figures in England. Continuing on, there are no written records detailing the reasons for the creation of cave painting, but one can assume, as can with his other countless art pieces, that it involves one of his many controversial themes, and in my opinion, it's politics, and one of its subgenres which has been extensively gaining popularity in the past couple of years, censorship. The 2008 English elections, the same year this painting was created, is one of many possible events that could have triggered the creation of this inscrutable artwork. This being said, the sole fact that he painted it in a tunnel wall is ingenious. Why? Because every day people transit through there, either by car, bicycle, or walking, and it serves as an attention grabber for the underlying issues this painting might represent. I still stand with what I believe to be the main theme of the painting, censorship, which usually goes hand in hand with politics. By censorship, I mean censorship in terms of composing your own opinions and ideas, opinions that you've established throughout your lifetime, displaying your personal point of views, and how as society changes, restrictions are passed and implemented, making it harder to express one's own conceptions. The animals and humans in the background of the painting can be interpreted as past ideas or opinions, hence the age of parodic art, while the man with the power washer can be interpreted as government, and how the aftermath of power washing can signify cleanliness, or in other words, purity, censorship of those ideas we once had. You can also interpret the art piece as censorship to art, in this case graffiti. To many, graffiti is considered vandalism, but to others it's another priceless form of art. And just as with cave paintings, which are pieces of history, erasing street art from existence, which has happened to numerous street artists, including Banksy, is sort of like erasing a priceless cave painting from ever existing. Although I cannot ascribe my second interpretation to any past event in my life, I can fairly relate to my first one of censorship in society. Growing up as a minority in a suburb largely populated by whites, I've had my fair share of opinions, ideas censored by others around me. In spite of the negativity that you might think have come from this, it diverged my personality to be more open and less susceptible to others' pessimistic notions, and the fact that Banksy could interpret this in something so irrelevant as a cave painting and a power washer is extremely staggering. This is my artwork, but first and foremost, I would like to apologize for my poor drawing skills. This is by far the most detailed drawing I've ever done in my life, and I'm honored to be sharing it with the class today. Although my drawing has no name, it's my depiction of a Spanish settler, hence the clothing and the unique facial features. It's what I like to call a multi-platform art piece. I drew it with charcoal-based pencil and charcoal paper, and then I converted it to JPEG format by mode of photograph, and afterwards altered it on Photoshop. The colors blue and pink weren't randomly picked and ultimately serve a purpose in my drawing. Undoubtedly, the main reason I picked these colors was the fact that both colors contrast well with each other, but also because I made the color pink since it's a warm color to represent the sun and the blue to represent the ocean, where the first Spanish colonists had to trek through to come to the so-called New World. I took inspiration from Carla Fuentes, a Spanish artist whose unique art style I try to mimic. As you can see, side to side, Despite there being a reason for creating this piece, I can probably relate it to the countless history courses I've taken in the past 5 years and the amount of knowledge I've obtained from each one of them. I thank each and every one of you for the attentiveness you have given me these past 10 minutes, and I'll surely try my best to do the same.